Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
It is the Delhi Capitals that sign off with a win, a significant win in terms of the race for the playoffs, not necessarily for themselves, but damningly so for KL Rao's Lucknow Super Giants, who were once well placed just a few weeks back, beating Chennai twice in 2 games. We thought this is perhaps the boost they need to maybe even push for a top 2 spot. As it turns out, the max that they will get to is 14, and that is also what Delhi finished with. They still need highly unlikely and improbable results to go their way. Do Rishabh Pant's side to enter the playoffs. It's a result that the Rajasthan Royals would welcome, that RCB and CSK would welcome, and we look back at a game of incident and entertainment on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL, in the company of Tom Moody, Mitchell McClenaghan, and Wasim Jaffer. If we are to start with the Delhi Capitals, you almost start with a feeling of, ooh, what if? For a team that didn't start well, finishes with 14, remarkable turnaround, and had they just nicked one more game along the way, who knows what a story it could have been. Tom?
And that's your worst nightmare as a coach or a player in any IPL season, is sort of always looking back and looking at the what if. And that's why you need to get moving early. And that doesn't mean you win every single game, because that's very, very rare.
Yes.
But you just don't want to have that situation when you're sort of posing that question, oh, if only we won that game, or that game there where we had 2 run-outs, like Delhi's case in Bangalore. You know, it's no point thinking about it that way. I think right from the get-go, Delhi Capitals had got it wrong on a number of accounts with regards to the balance of their side, and they had key players that were not standing up at the right time. Therefore, they lost momentum early. And then they suddenly they captured some fire and spark, and that was all generated by 2 very young batters in Fraser McGurk when he came into the side, and Tristan Stubbs in the middle. And the constant also with the batting was obviously the captain, Rishabh Pant.
1 out of 5 is what they won. Then the turnaround, 4 out of 5. Eventually, they needed to win just 1 more. 2 out of 4 is what they finished with. Tom talks about team balance with the overseas, which we can understand perhaps the concerns around Nokia. And they wouldn't have not started with David Warner. None of us would have not started with David Warner. Eventually, they found their way to Fraser McGurk and Stubbs with this form. But the Indians, Wasim, that's quite a story. They started with the likes of Ricky Bui and Sumit Kumar, and they played Lalit Yadav in the middle. But the likes of Porel, Rasik Salam, it was just the young Indian players standing up. That is also a feeling of regret that Delhi couldn't nail at the start of their season?
Yeah, I would say so, because Ricky Bui, we talked about, they asked him to bat at number 3, which is not his position. He generally bats at number 5, and then as the tournament went, there were few games where Sumit Kumar didn't do anything. He didn't bowl, he didn't bat.
Yeah.
So you wondered why he was picked. And probably after those 5 games, they probably realized what's their best combination. And that's happened to RCB also. They found their balance a lot later. And that can happen to foreign coaches because they come here and they don't know the domestic uncapped players, you know, what they do and where do they bat.
There's a lot of Indian experience there too. There's Ganguly, there's Praveen Amre, who's been there for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, that's very surprising. You know, with him, those guys being there, and they've asked players to do what they haven't done in the domestic circuit. So that was very, very surprising.
If anything, their fortunes turned when they put faith, maybe out of compulsion, in an all-Indian bowling attack, which has done more than decent job since they've gone with this combination, hasn't it?
Yeah, done a great job. They really have, and it's opened them up to play the extra batter at the top, which was Fraser McGurk. So I think their all-Indian bowling lineup has done exceptionally well. And I think Rasik Salam came in, didn't he, into that side, and had quite an impact. Bowled beautifully on numerous occasions, and actually even tonight, that last over, I know, it was towards the end, and but they still had Ashok Khan in there on 58, who was hitting the ball beautifully, and he still was able to execute. So, yeah, good bowling unit. I think there was probably 2 moments throughout the tournament where they probably lost that game that you're talking about. I think definitely we've got to talk about Rishabh Pant being out of the last game against RCB, which was a crucial game, and him being suspended for that game was significant. He would have had a big impact in that game, just for the continuity side of things, instead of having to put Kushagra in there in pressure situation. And then the other game where they made the wrong decision at the toss against KKR.
Huge game,
where they were in such a good run of form. They won the toss and decided to bat, and it was all downhill from there. So a couple of decisions that probably ended up sealing their fate in this season.
I think the other thing to sort of highlight on a positive is Kuldeep.
Yes.
You know, he was constant. He was consistent in the middle. He kept them in games. He won games for them as well. You know, I thought he bowled exceptionally well. And he's a good story in itself. You know, it was only a few years ago, you know, he'd sort of gone missing a little bit in IPL cricket. But, you know, he's recaptured some really good form. He's now going to go into a World Cup as a key bowler, probably alongside Bumrah, you know, the two key bowlers that India are hanging their hat on.
Yeah, he missed 3 games as well in the middle. They lost 2 of those with injury. The minute he returned, it was the Lucknow game, the reverse fixture, where Delhi's turnaround took place. Kuldeep Yadav, Fraser McGurk debuted. Feeling of what if? And Kuldeep Yadav is still a retention only at 2 crore, rather a pickup only at 2 crore. It's worth pointing out the kind of form that he's in. About today's game though, early blows dealt. I'll talk about Ishant Sharma in a second, but just sum up Lucknow's batting approach and their batting effort and why it went wrong. You can see where KL Rahul has reacted to the last game, trying to play a big shot. But?
Well, it looked like they wanted to chase this in 10 overs. I mean, they came out batting like that. Had their top order taken a little bit of time, they would have chased down in 17, 18 overs.
They don't get the balance only. Half the time we say they take too much time.
I mean,
now we've gone too hard. So
considering the kind of wicket that is and the ground it is, you know, with so many wickets lost in the first half, first 6 overs, they still lost by only 18 runs with Arshad Khan, you know, batting like he did. Had the top order batted, you know, a lot more sensibly, you know, they would have easily chased down scores in 17, 18 overs. So I thought they came out really, really hard without giving them, you know, a little bit of time. So I thought, you know, they got it wrong at the start.
I mean, they were. Yes,
I was just going to add to that, and just the one thing to recognise is they've played a method throughout the season, which hasn't really given them consistency, and hasn't sort of followed the trend of this year's IPL. So suddenly this game, they're knowing that this game and the last game they've got to change that method, but they don't know how to do it because they haven't done it before. So that to me stood out like it was like, well, okay, they know they need to be positive, but how are we going to do that? That doesn't mean you have to go shot a ball, as you're saying, hit sixes from ball one. It means that you raise a tempo, but you do it within your own, you know, means and within your own strengths. And, you know, to find themselves 5 down for 71 in the 8th over, it just blew them open completely.
That's why pre-show I was talking about putting Pooran up to 3. For that reason, he's one of the best T10 players in the world. When he gets the opportunity at the top, he knows how to go at that tempo. And then if it had failed, or he got off to the start that he did get off to when he came out at 5, he was pretty much batting 3 then anyway. But there would have been a couple of guys behind him who would have been able to come off the back of that momentum. And it is a momentum thing when you're a bowling unit and someone goes after you like that. It becomes harder to bowl as a bowler because you think a little bit less. You get under more pressure.
If I may, the one player who seems naturally suited to playing like that, who we can now say has had a very ordinary season, has been Quinton de Kock. Player perhaps they rely on big money signing and expect he's keeping Kyle Mayers out of the team, and this is not the kind of returns that you probably expect from one of your key overseas.
Yeah, definitely not. And he's got a huge amount of experience, Quinton de Kock. But I sort of look at his season, and it's a real, I suppose, alarm bell for anyone in this position that retires from, you know, a number of formats of the game, and doesn't have the volume of work coming into an IPL. And that's not the volume of work in the nets. That's the volume of work of, you know, match time. And not everyone can do that and suddenly switch, you know, not play and then suddenly switch it on in the IPL. He's clearly probably one of those players that needs to be playing a few more matches leading into an IPL to have that volume of work. It's, you know, it is a very tough thing when you suddenly drop 1 or 2 formats or retire from international cricket and only relying on a few other leagues to, you know, tie you over before this all-important IPL.
Yeah, without digging too deep into it, because without having gone and looked at all the footage of him playing. I think in the past when Quinton's batted really well and been consistent, he's shown the full face of the blade a lot longer than he's shown it throughout this tournament. Even the dismissal today was just turning that bottom hand, dragging across the line a little bit, whereas when he's on form, he actually just holds that blade nicely on those full ones and then forces you to bowl into his hip and into that ball, which he picks up so significantly well over the leg side. So made it a little bit easier for teams to bowl on that fuller length to him.
Just getting a few of you involved on our YouTube Live. Thanks as always for sending in your comments. Devang Sharma says, LSG do not deserve to qualify. They've played very timid cricket this season. They've been lucky to reach even this far in the tournament. Delhi Capitals have shown spark, but LSG have been very ordinary. Is that a fair assessment from a fan point of view, that it's not been a wow factor with this team?
I think Tom touched on it quite well in the pre-show. Spoke about how the teams that have been successful and made a run towards the end, Delhi and RCB, are ones that mid-tournament realised that the style of cricket they were playing wasn't the right style and wasn't going to get them to the playoffs. And Lucknow decided that too late. They had a couple of opportunities. They had that loss to KKR where they really could have changed their style or their approach. And KL tried to change it, but no one else in that lineup really did. And the team selection and position of batters didn't really change as well. So you're expecting different results with the same unit. Now, I don't know if you would want to add on that, but it's kind of the observation. I thought you made a really good observation pre-show.
The one thing I will add is that you also got to remember that the two games that they won quite comfortably was down to one unknown, very fast bowler that was uncovered, Mayank Yadav. He won 2 player of the matches, blew the opposition away, blew us away, and every cricketing fan in the world away with, his high pace and real impact. So they're 2 free wins, if I could put it that way. When you have an individual, put in a mind-blowing sort of performance like that, you pocket them and run as quickly as you can. It wasn't sort of a hard-fought team effort. Yep. It was an outstanding individual performance.
Yep, Mayank Yadav point also being raised on our YouTube Live comments. Jagmohan Bish says, Mayank Yadav, well, that's a harsh word. I won't use that, Jagmohan, but you point out that there was a lot of hype, but he didn't quite turn out to be as useful an asset. Fitness problems are known for those types of bowlers and assets, but it was fun when we saw. Let's see how LSG manage him. I'll leave that one for now. Kushal says, I feel like LSG lost at the toss itself. Deciding to bowl first was a defensive and reactionary move to the last match, especially considering the record this season at the Arun Jaitley Stadium.
I don't think so. I think they would have thought whatever the score Delhi would get, they'll probably chase it and improve their net run rate. So I don't think that was a bad idea. It just that the bowlers didn't bowl, and obviously the innings of Tristan Stubbs made it difficult for them to chase, and obviously they came out and batted like I didn't expect them to come out and bat like that.
Yeah, vital Stubbs innings again. We spoke so much at halftime about him. That's the difference in the 180 which we thought they were getting after the power play, and the 200, which is the difference. Even a counter-attack ensures that you end up on the right side of the result. What a player he's turned out to be.
A terrific player. Great composure. Seems to do it effortlessly, and I'm sure South Africa are rubbing their hands together thinking, wow, okay, our middle order's looking pretty tidy with Klaasen and Stubbs, sitting in there.
Cricket Square says LSG wasted Mayers, again a point we touched upon on our pre-show today. Kyle Mayers, international opener, and has played in the IPL, performed in the IPL before, and didn't get a game.
Proper power hitter, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they should have, after Deacock, they should have gone to Kyle Mayers. That's all. They didn't need to go anywhere else. They didn't need to go Ashwin Kulkarni or anybody. And Padikkal obviously was a disappointment for them.
That trade didn't work out at all for them. That's another thing.
That was unexpected too.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? That trade, you'd have to admit, at the beginning of the IPL, we all probably thought that's filled a really important hole for them. He's a quality player. He's just finished playing Test cricket. Yeah. So he's clearly, thought of very, highly amongst, the Indian selectors, and him to fail as dramatically as he did was a real blindside.
They wanted that number 3 to be, role be filled by Padikkal.
Sure.
That actually didn't happen.
Very quickly, Harjit Singh Gill says, I wonder if KL not being selected for the World Cup and whether that played on his mind recently. Any thoughts?
No, I just think there was a lot of pressure on them, from inside and out. And after the selection, yes, he would have been disappointed, but he had to go out and play in a fashion that we had to try and lead that upright in a strike rate. So I think a lot of different factors came into it. I don't think it was just purely the World Cup non-selection that affected his form in the last 3 or 4 games.
All right. Let's quickly take this one from Harry Voke on asking the panel to think about retentions and specifically the all-round pedigree of Arshad to be a very compact batter and competent bowler. Let's talk about Arshad Khan. What a wonderful innings. Nearly pulled off a heist on his own towards the end, and you've worked with him, know him well, and you've told us before he can bat. Yeah,
he can bat beautifully. He strikes the ball really nicely, and I think the reason that we probably haven't seen him play consistently is probably what we saw in the first over today. He's a genuine wicket taker, but his accuracy with the new ball to right hand is a little bit wanting at times, and he quite often loses the ball down leg, and it's a slight alignment issue that he needs to work on. And then I think he'll become a very, very effective new ball bowler because he does get the ball to bend back. He just needs to be able to start it on a different line, and that can be done in different ways. We spoke about Tom. He can have a bit more of an angle in his run-up. So like Siraj has kind of changed in the last few games to get that accuracy where you end up running more towards first slip and then able to bring the ball back, or you just go a little bit wider on the crease so that swing ends up bending back a little bit later down the line. So there's small little things that I think will make him a very good player because he's got the power. And there was a moment this season where Badoni turned down a single at the first ball of one of the games, and for me, knowing how good a hitter Arshad is, to me, I thought I didn't understand that, and I thought if we had seen, he ended up hitting a couple of boundaries in that over when he eventually got on strike, but I think maybe this wasn't a well-known idea of the type of destructive player he could be, and he would have, in terms of hitters in that lineup, or the squad that they've got, he would have had quite a significant impact. Yeah, that was the reverse game, one we speak of against DC again. You rate him very highly. Why did Mumbai Indians let him go? I guess because he wasn't going to win with Hardik returning. It was very, very unlikely that he was going to play. Okay, all right. Something for my mind to think about as well. Yes. And on that note, let's talk about some other star performers. Shall we? Well done to Arshad Khan. Not sure if the retentions is something that he could aspire for. That will all be known when we know the rules for the retentions, of course. But the standout performer with the ball for the Delhi Capitals at a difficult stadium was Ishant Sharma, and I'm quite thrilled that he is our JBL Mute the World performer of the day. It is time for me to put on my lovely JBL headphones right now and talk about how Ishant has just muted the world, silenced them. For all those who felt like 35 years young Ishant Sharma may not have the impact in the IPL at this stage, nowhere near the conversation of Indian cricket anymore, and therefore Wasim Jaffer, his performance today?
Outstanding, and he's been outstanding throughout this IPL tournament, and he's picked up some big wickets. In the last game he's got Virat out. Even today he made those couple of big wickets of KL and Quinton de Kock, and that turned the game in Delhi's favour. So it's astonishing to watch him bowl and toil after playing 100 Test matches, not playing any other cricket. He's given up playing 4-day cricket.
Yes.
And for him to turn up and work so hard and prove that he's still quite good enough is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on the 100 Test matches because you can see just that repetition of seam release and wrist position that I reckon has made him one of the most consistent swingers of the ball throughout this tournament. Every game he's been able to move that new ball, and today he was moving it in and out quite a lot, and on a wicket that didn't produce a lot of swing early for both oppositions, he was effective again. So he's been impeccable. Today was a match where you want your senior players to stand up, and because he's been there, done that, he's played 100 Test matches, he knows what pressure is, he was able to deliver tonight.
Yeah, look, I'm thrilled for him. I've had the privilege to work with Ishant way back in his early days with Sunrisers Hyderabad. He's an absolute pleasure to work with. He's hard-working. He's always trying to improve his game. He doesn't take any shortcuts whatsoever with regards to, how he trains, how he prepares, how he tries to evolve as a fast bowler. He had to work very hard on this format of the game because he is, has been sort of pigeonholed as a test cricketer,
yes,
and a very, very successful one at that. But he's worked at it, and it's so interesting that even at his ripe age now, that he's delivering performances that he's delivering today.
Well, that is brilliant from Ishant Sharma. He got the wicket of Virat Kohli and had a nice little moment with him in the last game. Today he's got 3. He's the official player of the match. He can sit back, relax, perhaps put on these lovely JBL TuneBeam active noise cancelling earphones that give you legendary JBL sound, and just chill for the rest of the week. I think most of the team can as well. But Ishant Sharma is our JBL Mute the World performer of the day. Right, on that note, I wanted to ask though, the equation, if I can quickly just tell you what S. Rajesh, our stats editor, has given us, is SRH need to lose their last 2 matches by a combined margin of 194 runs, chasing approximately 200 each time, and for DC to go past them on net run rate. So we're looking at 80, 90 run or 90, 100 run defeats for SRH, for DC to go past them. It looks like that's the only way. One of RCB or CSK in that game will definitely go past them, so they can only compete there. Unlikely equation, so I guess that's a wrap for the Delhi Capitals. Would you be sending the team home, Tom?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I don't think you can.
Nope.
I don't think you can until certainly they play their first game, Sunrise Hyderabad. After that, when the reality is complete, you can then say thank you and goodbye.
Well, on that note, though, some of our comments were talking about how it's in RCB's hands now. I think Hanish brought up that point. There was also a CSK fan in Monu earlier saying, that's it now, CSK RCB set up for a great game. That's a nice storyline, though.
Incredible.
2 massively popular franchises. And the story, RCB to come back from there, still be in with a genuine chance of it.
Dhoni, Kohli, it's got everything.
What more do you need?
It's magical.
Blockbuster. Saturday night, cancel all your plans and focus on this. Friday night, you can have the plans that you wanted to do on Saturday. That's when MI play LSG at the Wankhede. But you will still follow the game on the ESPN Cricket Info app. Stop it, Mitchell.
Well, that's the thing with the app. You can take it anywhere.
100%. On that note, a rapid fire review of DCV LSG coming your way. Control your emotions, gentlemen. I want serious answers.
Yes.
First up for you, Wasim, given the batting quality in the ranks, why have Lucknow struggled through the season, you think? 20 seconds.
I think the form of their players, KL hasn't got that form that we've seen him, bat most of the time. He's 500, 600 run player every season. He hasn't found form. Quinton de Kock, then that number 3 problem. And those guys haven't batted together collectively successfully. I think that's probably the reason.
All right, thank you very much. Mitch McClenaghan, have Lucknow been hampered by the lack of a high impact or a gun bowler this season? 20 seconds.
Well, yes, they have been impacted. We saw that when Mayank came into the team, he was destructive. He took wickets in the middle. He really broke partnerships. So yes.
All right, Tom Moody, what stood out the most about Tristan Stubbs, the batter, this season?
I think he looks very calm under pressure. He's got all the shots all round the ground, so he's very difficult to bowl to. He gives himself a chance at the beginning of the innings because he knows that he's got the 6 hitting ability at the back end. So, he's a real find.
All right, back to you, Wasim. Your verdict on Rishabh Pant's comeback season. 20 seconds.
I think I said at the start that we'll probably find out that he's probably not went away. He'll probably come back like that. And it looks like that. He's got close to 450 runs this season. Kept really, really well. And I think he captained also really, really well. He had some poor moments. We've talked about that KKR where he batted first in one of the games. But otherwise, it was absolutely spot on.
Excellent. Mitch McClenaghan, who is Delhi's player of the season for you? Some options: Stubbs, Fraser McGurk, Kuldeep, Akshar, Pant.
Geez, that's tough. As much of an impact that I think Fraser McGurk's had and Tristan Stubbs, I think the best player in that team has probably been Kuldeep. I think he's held the bowling unit together, particularly in home conditions, which are very difficult to bowl at, and being a wrist spinner where the boundaries are very small. He's been very miserly, and he's taken a lot of wickets.
And looking at those options and perhaps a few more, Tom, if you could retain 4 players for Delhi, throwing in David Warner and some of the senior players there as well, Mitch Marsh, Harry Brook, who would you retain?
Well, at this stage, off the top of my head, I'd like time, obviously, to work this one through. But Stubbs, Fraser McGurk are standouts.
Punt, of course.
Punt, Kuldeep,
Yeah, that's your
Aksa
first.
Patel, all worthy.
All right. And on that note, while your comments are coming through, I think we've got one more game. We can talk about Lucknow on Friday night, perhaps, and Delhi. We've done quite an exhaustive review. Let's enter the impact zone to see how things went. Well, we have had some seriously outrageous picks land today.
Inches.
Fraser McGurk, less than 10, which has not happened all season since he's been featuring. Tom Moody got that right. Put to hit 4-6. That happened as well. Yeah,
Well done, Tom.
water to digest that.
It's absolutely brilliant from Tom.
See, that's a
Thanks,
graceful,
Wasim.
graceful paddle.
Appreciate that, mate.
You've been consistent.
Thank you.
Take my hat off.
Would you like to say something, sir?
Oh, the highest 6-hitting ground in the competition, and probably the biggest 6-hitting player in form at the moment in world cricket. I thought 4 was a little bit low, but I'll leave that up to Varun to really nail him when he gets back on the couch at some point, because it's going to impact him the most. He might lose the lead.
So you failed in your own attempts to displace
Well,
Tom.
I
You will now
tried. I tried, but I got overruled. And
No, that's fine. That's fine.
form an alliance.
yeah, I brought it up, and all I can do is
Selection
say
season
that
in
I
India.
think it was a little bit generous to say four 6s, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's nice. It's very good. He seems absolutely fine. Let's see who's won the impact zone today. Will he get better now? 188.6 points, in spite of a minus 4.4 from Fraser McGurk. Ishant Sharma, player of the match. Tristan Stubbs, player with seriously high impact. But Puran is our standout impact player for the day that Tom Moody had. Otherwise, if we look around,
Well, he didn't want Ishant.
Yeah, that's I thought
Yeah.
that he changed Ishant.
Yeah, he wanted Aksar.
That's right. Look, I'm going to take a run with it. I've had 2 good days in a row. Got the impact win tonight, and I had chicken burgers last night.
Right, okay.
it's not even like I've turned on my mute to the world.
Can you please supply us all with one set of those?
On that note, thank you very much to Tom Moody. Mitchell McClenaghan back tomorrow with Varun Aaron, who you will have all the time in the world to rile up and present a case against Tom Moody. Wasim, thank you very much. We'll see you again very soon on the couch. And thank you as well. The race for the playoffs continues to get more and more interesting with each day. Like I said, it's a result that a number of teams would welcome. Points table will reflect Delhi have closed out their campaign, and Lucknow Super Giants now must really wait for a lot to go their way. It looks like it'll be too much with that negative 0.787 net run rate. It seems highly unlikely that Lucknow are in serious contention. But Rajasthan would like that. They've got the qualification next to their name, and they're in action tomorrow against Punjab Kings, who are bottom of the table in what will be the first of 2 games at Guwahati. Look forward to your company for that one on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. Download the mobile app. Fastest scores and so much more. We'll hear from both camps as Delhi close out theirs, and Lucknow effectively dealt a severe blow with their hopes to the playoffs. We'll see you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.